gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages. Tonight is a very special night here at the Old Humble Distilling Company. I'm going live on a Wednesday night, which isn't unusual. I've gone live on Wednesday nights before. But one thing I don't often do is go, I'm the Old Humble guy. This is the Old Humble Distilling Company. You can see right here. One thing I don't often do is go live on Wednesday night from the distillery where I'm at right now. As you can see in the background, there's Ichabod, our gantry crane, J-Lo and Shakira, our moneymakers, and there is one column on the still. You may note in the middle there's no small still. There's instead a white barrel in its place. That is because the small still is right here. Ba-bam! Our small still, that's the column that's on the small still. I have the camera angled up because we are running the still tonight. Oh, I need to put the hose on this thing. Can we see? Yeah, we still got video. Good. So when I run my still, I've got, there's a right and a wrong way to put this on. This is the top, I believe. And then this goes directly into the carboy. I run it directly into the carboy so that I can, well, I'll explain all this stuff as we go through the course of the night. This is my third run of gin. I've got to get 8 runs done, and I have 5 days to do it. So I need to squeeze in an extra day. It takes 12 hours to run the stills. Cheers, Marcia. It takes 12 hours to run the still and get my batch completed out of this. So let me explain what's going to happen. I'm going to turn off this camera because y'all don't need to see me there. Boop. Deactivate. All right. So what we have over here is our bright storage tanks. They're literally just storage tanks for alcohol. This one's actually has bourbon in it right now. That one's going to have vodka in it. And this one is going to, that one's empty. And it's probably going to be empty for a while. So what we're looking at is, let's pan down. What we're looking at is our baby pot still, the 25-gallon pot still. The temperature on the pot right now is right at 100 degrees. Hello. And then this is our column. It is our basic six plate column. You can see 6 sight glasses, 6 plates. And over the course of the next hour or so, well, we'll get to that in a minute. So we have cold water running up through this hose right here, going into the back of our deflegmator. That is ice cold, 55 degrees. Well, not quite ice cold. It's 55 degrees, give or take. I have cold water going from there, from there, down through here and up into, nope, I have it going on the wrong way. I need to reset. That's not a problem. It's not great. If it stayed like that, it wouldn't be great. But that's not a problem. Okay, so I have cold water coming through here to this side, where when the vapors do start coming up through the column, they'll hit this cold section of the column and condense and go back down in here. So this entire column is going to charge up with alcohol when it comes time in about an hour, give or take. God, I'm fat. And then what I will do is I'll let this fill up with alcohol through the sight glasses so we can see what's going on in the sight glasses. And then I'll throw this down and open this valve up. And the vapors will come through here, condense in here, and come down here, fill up this parrot and tell me what I am distilling, what proof I'm distilling at. And then the alcohol will come down through there. There's still a little bit left in here from the last runs. And then the alcohol will come down here into my collection tank. This is 6 gallons up to this band right here, which you can't see right now. That is, there it is, 6 gallons up to this band right here. And over the course of the next 12 hours, that's 12, right? Yeah, 12 hours, I will collect up about a gallon an hour. I will be done with this run. Let's see here. We started it at 11:05. I started at 11:05. I started the heat at 11:05. It'll be done around 10 in the morning. I have a cot in the back. I'm not going to, I'm talking to the camera like y'all can see me. I'm not going to, there I am. I'm not going to live stream for the full 12 hours because I'm going to get tired in about 3 hours. I've been up since 6 in the morning. So I'm going to live stream this for a while, but I wanted to give y'all a chance to see the real meat and potatoes of what we do behind the scenes and, you know, talk about happy hour stuff. I'm going to finally get this Mandela Effect episode out. We'll go ahead and do it tonight. Might as well. I was going to do it in my pandemic studio, but I figured, what the hell, why not just do it here? And then we'll do all that other stuff. How's that sound? You can probably hear the fan in the background. I'm looking at the audio. I can see it kind of. Yeah, there's a little ripple in the background. So the fans are on in the background because it's like 85 degrees and humid outside. It actually feels kind of nice in here with the fan running. But without any further ado, let's put this on the main character right here for tonight's show. What was that? It's dripping in the back. I got to see to that real quick. Low bridge. All right. The wet works going on back here are quite impressive because there's cold water inside these hoses. Because there's cold water, everything's condensing on the ground. So I've got little puddles and streams all over the place as it tracks out the door. A very dangerous maneuver I'm working on here. Uh-oh. That's bad. Okay. So I need to open this up, close this quickly. We sprung a leak. That's bad. Okay. Oh, that wasn't so bad. As long as it stays the way it's supposed to, we'll be good. Nope, don't do that. There we go. All right, that's much better. That's much better. Good. Okay. I do need to come back here with my mop real quick and get some of this water up off the ground. So, that's going to be this way. Whoops. There we go. Oh, you know you're my world. Let's move the computer just a little bit closer. Move the camera right there. There. Now y'all can see exactly what's going on with those sight glasses. There. All right. Let me go get my mop. Clean up some of this water. It's a real working distillery. I'm not just a pretty face. I actually make alcohol. And you'll see in about an hour, the temperature's got to get up to about 160 in the pot in order for it to it's got to get up to about 160 in the pot in order for the alcohol to start vaporizing. Oh no, that's not good. Are we in the walls? I hope not. Let me look. We are. Shit. That's bad. Okay, I've got a big cleanup to do over here now. But it's off camera. So y'all just sit there and watch the liquor. And then we'll come and talk about the Mandela effect. Or some shit. Probably going to have to replace these wall panels. That's cool. We had a bit of an actual leak. One of the hoses popped off. So when the hose popped off, I got a bunch of excess water back here. And this is not ideal because it's getting into my plasterboard. And that's not optimal. And I have a heater down here on the ground too for some reason. Right. Yeah. Sorry about that. That was an awful noise. Come here, you piece of shit. There we go. It's like trapped under a pallet. But the pallet's also blocking most of the water, so that's good. Real working distillery, kids. One of the many joys of working with wet stuff and dry stuff. Sometimes the wet stuff gets where it doesn't belong. And then you just have to do things off camera to make sure that the wet stuff doesn't cause any problems or doesn't cause any major problems, at least. We'll be back right after this. All right. It's about as good as it's going to get right now, I'm afraid. But I think... Oh, hey, I found a shirt. I can throw down a few of these towels. There. To act as a barrier for the wet stuff. Make sure it doesn't flow the wrong way. And additionally, get the hoses to the place where they belong. It's odd that the water would flow towards the wall. It shouldn't have. But it's also been going all day long, so maybe it's just it got fed up with not being able to hang out in the distillery, and it was like, I'm just going to go wherever the hell I want to go. Meh, 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 meh. There we go. Get you a man who can do both. All right, how we doing on the sight glass, kids? Any action? No. Good. That's good. You don't need to have that pointed at the light. How about there? Right there. Now, what is dripping up there? Is that just condensation? That's just condensation. Okay. All right, kids. Whew. You have a beer. Marsha, are you in Florida? Is that what I remember? Do I remember that correctly? Rather, that you are in Florida. It is extremely humid in Florida. And, yeah, I get that. What was that? Some kind of bug. Okay. I'm going to move this a little closer once again. Oh, goodness gracious. There's a giant cicada, or horsefly. It's a horsefly. Where'd he go? Whoops. Sorry about that. There. All right, I need to cover this over here. So this is actual working. Gotcha, motherfucker. Kill the bug. This is actual work night. This isn't just me. Hang on, one more thing I got to get. This isn't just me coming into the distillery, bottling up some stuff and chatting, or me sitting at the sitting in my office with the camera on me. I've got to make sure this goes well and gets done right. So I'm actually watching this live with you. Oh, Cincinnati. Gotcha. Traveling Fools in the house. Cheers, my man. So here's the thing. I was up here last night, well, this morning, until 4. So yesterday, I started my first run of this at about 5 o'clock. I had to get that first run in. And it took until about 4 in the morning to get the run finished. And I went home, went to sleep for about 3 hours, came back up here, 9 in the morning, started the next run. Got that run done around 9 o'clock. I started about 10 o'clock. Got that run done around 9 o'clock, went home, had dinner, came back up here to get this run started at about 11. So what we're going to see, I've been taking copious notes. What we're going to see, I should have done trivia tonight. I wonder if I can still load that. No, I can't load that up. I got too much other stuff going on. Anyway, what we're going to see in about, this goes up about 20 degrees every 15 minutes. And right now we're at about 120. We're at about 120 on the pot. So what that's going to do, once that goes up another 30 degrees, so in about 18 minutes, 15, 18, 20, between 20 and 25 minutes. So right around, let's say a quarter after 12, we're going to start seeing at the very tip top, you're not going to be able to see it from this angle, but the alcohol is going to vaporize out of the pot, go up into the column, condense at the top of the column, and then start trickling back down. So we're going to see those sight glasses fill up from the top down to the bottom. When this bottom one is full right here, what I'll do is then go up there and flip the, open up the valve on the right, close the valve on the left, and then all that alcohol is going to flow through there and come out into the parrot, which is this little doodad right here. The hydrometer is going to climb up to the top. Is it dripping water into the hydrometer? I don't think so. I think it's going onto the pot. Yeah, it's dripping down to the pot on there, to the ground. Okay. Um, I need to get water barriers on my wall. I don't know why it's flowing that way. It should be flowing right out the door. Uh, You're in the part of Ohio where they love the cats. Uh, Such a stupid story, I swear to God. Um, it's like not even a story. Like, okay, so yeah, I'm gonna get into it. During the debate, it's the dumbest fucking thing. During the debate, Donald Trump says that they're eating the cats. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. They're going around and eating people's pets. And then he calls I don't think he actually called them Haitian illegal immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. And then the story goes on. They're claiming that 20,000 illegal immigrants are in Springfield, Ohio, and these people are eating pets, cats and dogs and pets and blah, blah, blah. And the first thing about that, cheers, Paul. First thing about that, and I'm guilty as well. Paul Dunecat in the house. Cheers. First thing about that, and admittedly I'm guilty. Didn't even question the 20,000 number. Springfield is a town of like 50,000, right? Springfield is like 50,000 people. 20,000 would be a lot for a community of 50,000. A lot. 20,000 is a lot for any community, really, but especially for a community of 50,000. And 20,000 illegal immigrants in a city like Springfield would probably be noticed. It'd be a thing. But first off, that number was wrong. I didn't even question it. It didn't even come up in my mind. It's like 20,000 people in Springfield. That's okay. I didn't even question it. My first thought was, they're not eating cats. That's the dumbest, stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Turns out it wasn't 20,000 people, Haitian immigrants at all. It's more like between 5 and 7, somewhere between 5 and 7,000. Not even close to 20,000. And 5 to 7,000 people is still a lot in a town that's only about 50,000 people. But it's not nearly as much as 20,000. And and the second part is that they're not illegal immigrants. They're temporary protected status because of the shit show that is the government of Haiti and the economy of Haiti. These people are here legally under temporary protective status, which is a thing that was started like way back in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been, but I think the status for Haitians specifically was granted, I think, in the early 2000s. I could be wrong. I can't remember. I don't remember the exact details. But it boils down to they're here legally, and they're not eating cats, and they're refilling jobs that had left Springfield, auto plant jobs, refrigerator plant jobs, a lot of jobs that had left the United States in toto have now been filled by these people. Church pews on Sunday, because they're Catholic, are being filled. They're all in all, and statistics prove this nationwide, but also with these guys specifically, all in all, they're good, upstanding citizens. They're good community members. And from what I've read and what I understand, the people in Springfield love these folks. I mean, I obviously, I don't know every person in Springfield. I don't know hardly any people in Springfield, for that matter. I've been to Springfield. I've driven through it, I think. Have I driven through Springfield? My phone, I don't know where my phone is. I should have my phone so I can look at chat as it's happening. I'll be right back. Let me go find my phone. I'll keep talking. But all in all, they seem like decent people. But that's not even the craziest part of the story. The craziest part of the story comes, I think, yesterday or either today or yesterday, I'm now outside, which is a thing that I can do. Okay, my phone is not out here. What did I do with it? The craziest part of the story is that idiotic beanbag J.D. Vance, Jethro Dean. Here it is. Probably ought to get my power cord too. Jeremiah D. I can't even think of a silly name for JD. Anyway, he literally admits to making up the story. If I have to invent stories to get y'all to pay attention, like JD, like seriously, don't say the quiet part out loud, you dumb fucking moron. You're supposed to keep that shit quiet. And he lifts this cat meme from a neo-Nazi group. It's just like, good God, man. Like, he is the walking, talking, real life version of Sideshow Bob walking out into the grass and stepping on a rake, and then turning and stepping on a rake, and then turning and stepping on a rake, and then them panning out and it being like a field full of rakes. I'm going to go pour myself a drink too. That sounds like a great idea, Marcia. I am going to make myself a maple cinnamon sour. That's what I'm going to do. Just give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. I'm going to go to my bar, which is in here on the other side of this here wall. I wish I had like a camera, like a permanently mounted camera that was connected to the Wi-Fi that would then, you know, when I came in here, I could just switch cameras. And then I would be in here talking behind my bar, and I could see y'all. I'm motioning towards the wall like y'all can see me. I could just talk to y'all, continue the show, not be a complete and total boob. So whiskey maple sour, or a maple cinnamon sour, is whiskey. It's 1 part whiskey, 1 part maple syrup. Yep, just like you buy in a grocery store, maple syrup. And 1 part lemon juice. Oops. Then you throw in a pinch of cinnamon to flavor. You don't have to have the cinnamon, but the cinnamon really kind of brings the whole room together. It's the Big Lebowski's rug of this cocktail. A little bit of that. And I'm going to throw in another shot of bourbon because it's a long night and I'm going to be here all night. I might as well have a good stout drink in my hand. And then we shake it, pour it. I'm going to add a little bit more ice to it. And there you go. A maple whiskey sour. Maple cinnamon whiskey sour. From your friends at the Old Humble Distilling Company. It is coming to a cocktail, how-to cocktail show near you. Make sure we still have a video coming through here. Okay, still no action in the back section, or the top sections of the pot. Okay, so what else has happened in the news? Oh my God, yesterday I was telling my wife about it. The first time I saw my lovely wife was this evening, going in and having some dinner with her. Did y'all see the shit about the pagers in Lebanon? I mean, who hasn't, right? But apparently Mossad, the only people I can think of who would have done this, I think they've taken credit for it. Or at least they've winked and nodded and said, ha ha ha, yeah, that's pretty amazing. Who could have possibly done that? couldn't be the greatest spy agency ever. So anyway, I need to go mop a little bit more over here. Give me 1 second. I'll talk while I do this. Anyway, Mossad had been using cell phone signals to guide missiles up tailpipes of terrorists, figuratively and literally. Their figurative tailpipes, right up their ass, and their literal tailpipes, in some cases, going right into their car. So Hezbollah stopped using their cell phones and started using these two-way pager devices. Well, Israel says, okay, cool, you do that. And then they intercepted, like 5 months ago, the delivery of the paging devices, the communication devices. Whoops. And inserted a bomb into their pagers. A whole fucking bomb. I mean, we're not talking like a mother of all bombs bomb. We're talking like a little, probably like a M16 firecracker type bomb. But nonetheless, it's a bomb. And then Hezbollah gets these pagers. And then 5 months later, yesterday, Israel calls the pagers and blows all these guys' dicks off. Unfucking believable. They just send a code to all the pagers. They make a phone call, and then like 1,500, 2,000 pagers go off, and now a whole bunch of Hezbollah militants don't have a dick. And in some of the cases, they were programmed to beep several times so that they would reach in their pocket, pull them out, and bring them up to their face to look at them, and then they would explode. So there's like 500 dudes in Lebanon who don't have pagers now, and also don't have fingers on their right hand, and also can't see because they got their eyes blown out by their pager bombs. Cheers, Tater Dom. Welcome to the party. And then today, as an encore, today, they blow up a bunch of walkie-talkies. Like, what's the next thing that they're going to blow up? And they've gone from cell phones to pagers to walkie-talkies. Whether telegraph machines, maybe. Those Campbell soup cans on a string. Haven't made a video yet, but you're thinking about this weekend, so you all can watch the German party down. Oh, that sounds fun. Watch the German party down. And that is a good pour there, Paul. A bottle of a shot of Boomtown. That is a great plan. I like that idea. This has, my cocktail has Boomtown bourbon in it. My whiskey sour. It is a Boomtown bourbon whiskey sour. What else? P. Diddy's apparently a pedophile and human trafficker. Weird, freaky sex fiend. Weird, freaky sex fiend I wouldn't have been surprised at even a little bit. But having sex parties with trafficked humans is not cool. And everybody, well, at least I thought it was weird that a few years ago when he just all of a sudden came out as a politically interesting person, rubbing shoulders and elbows with the former president, what's his face? I wonder how many of those parties one of the Trump boys have been to. Hello? Test? I wonder how many of those parties either Eric or Don Jr. have been to. because you know he's got cameras all over his place. And you don't just show up at the White House one day and say, hey, I want to be your friend. But that's just conspiracy theory shit. Nobody will ever know. But we know, right? We know. What else has been in the news lately? I see. I've been cloistered in here for 2 days, so I don't really know what's going on. Sunday, I needed to fix up some equipment to make sure this worked. Monday, I lost half the day because my refrigerant outside my chilling unit wasn't working. So I only got one run done on Monday. I would have otherwise gotten two. Yesterday, I had to run around and do stuff with the TABC, which will all get filed tomorrow. And today, today I had to run around and do stuff for the TABC as well, but I was able to let this run because I knew what was going to happen while this was running. This is really most of the process is waiting for stuff to happen. Harvey Weinstein had surgery in prison. That's right. He did. He had another heart issue. We're at 140. We are about 15 minutes away from alcohol jumping up into the column up there. And it is 12:07, so that puts us at about 12:25. So I was off by about 10 minutes. Whoops. Yeah, the Harvey Weinsteins of the world are why I could never be a doctor. You have on your surgeon's table, I know, doctors, surgeons, their goal is to fix the broken thing that's in front of them. I get that. I understand it. They have a Hippocratic oath to do no harm. Their whole mission is to heal and do all that shit. I am not that magnanimous. I got to go straighten out these hoses so they flow better. I'm not that magnanimous of a person. And I freely acknowledge that I am not, deep down in my soul, they have these people who know that they're good people. They're like, I just want to make peace and help people and heal. I would never hurt anyone if there were no laws. I couldn't be a murderer. I don't have it in me to murder people. I don't know if I'm that good of a person. One of the reasons I don't drive around with a gun in my car is because I know very well what I'm capable of if I had a gun in my car. Because I'm not, like I said, I'm not that good of a person. If there were no consequences to my actions, I'm not so certain that I would choose the glorious path, the righteous and right path, if there were no consequences to my action. I am the type of person that ruins a libertarian ideal society, The type of society that needs no laws because it's self-governing, because people aren't inherently monsters. Well, I fear that if the guardrails of society are removed, that I would be susceptible to that kind of monstrous behavior. And I hope that that's not true. But on the other hand, On the other hand, the people in a libertarian society who get taken advantage of are the good people of the world who are, trying to look out for everybody's best interest. The people who look out for everybody's best interest only get to do that if they have strong people on their side to make sure that they don't have to do the dirty work of protecting everybody's best interests. You know what I mean? So if I were a doctor and Harvey Weinstein were laying on my table in front of me, man, I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could make my best effort. I don't know if I could make the best effort to unbreak, to fix someone like that. I mean, I know he's got a family. They love him. I know he's got friends that care for him, probably. But he's done so much harm, And that's true for everybody. Everybody's done some kind of harm in their life. Nobody's a clean slate. We've all walked the earth and encountered people who we've hurt and harmed and done bad things to or against or for. Or we have cheered on, encouraged, supported people who have done bad things, either knowingly or unknowingly. So it's a hard judgment call to make. See, I could just sit here and stare at this thing all night. It's a hard judgment call to make, but man, if I had Harvey Weinstein, if I was the surgeon, I had Harvey Weinstein right there on my table, I mean, maybe I hesitate for just a second before I make the incision that saves his life or the stitch that saves his life or whatever it is that saves his life. Maybe I hesitate for just a second. Maybe. And that's why I can't be a surgeon. I don't have that pure heart. And I know I don't have that pure heart. I would I might let him die. And you can't be a surgeon if there's a corner of your mind or a corner of your heart, at least I think so. I could probably be proven wrong by some surgeon somewhere. If there's a corner of your heart that thinks, yeah, I could probably let him die, then you probably shouldn't be a doctor. Ever. That's just bad. It's bad for doctors to do that. I think I would want my doctor to want to work on me no matter what my doctor thought of it. I would want my doctor to be a better person than me in his soul or her soul. I would want my doctor to be a better person than me. And you got to ask yourself, like, when's that guy going to die? He's 100 years old. He's in prison. I mean, Jesus Christ. He's got more convictions coming. Or we had one thrown out and another one filed. I mean, that dude's he's a mess. But bless his heart, I guess. I don't know. Well, would you go back in time and kill baby Hitler? Yeah, fuck yeah, I'd kill baby Hitler. Even knowing the philosophical dangers. In fact, you wouldn't even have to kill baby Hitler. Unalive? I don't know. I don't want to screw up the algorithm. You wouldn't even have to, make him deceased. You could just, interfere with the time that his parents met or interfere with the time they had coitus. Because then that guy wouldn't be born. A different guy would be born because they'd be conceived at a different time, If you assume that that your entire life is predetermined by your genes, but even, or at least the way your genes interact with your upkeep or upraising. Yeah. Is that what the word for it that I'm looking for? Upraising? Yeah, anyway. So, stuff that we're working on here at the distillery. We have a podcast with Jody Summers called Bourbon and Banter that we're working on. We have I'm going to be returning to the Pandemic Studio for regular happy hours. I have a series of cocktail episodes that I will be recording at the tasting room right over there when it becomes a little bit cooler in here to record. We're going to have a live studio audience for the podcast that we record with Jody, me and Jody. Jody's a guy, by the way. We went to the same high school. But we're going to have a live audience in the bar. Our bartender will serve the audience. You know, it costs you $10 to come and watch the show. His victims are younger than him, so nice to see him live in a hole till he's older than George Burns made it. Yeah, that is a good point. I am firmly of the opinion that I would rather see, and this is because of the blackness of my heart, I'd rather see these people rot in jail, watch the world happen around them for the rest of their life, and they're not allowed to participate in it. I would much rather see these horrible people spend the rest of their days in jail than have them be put to death. I'd much rather have these people, and part of that's just, you know, because I'm mean. But also part of it is because I don't like the death penalty in general. But I think that when someone victimizes someone else, forcing them to watch the person they victimized go on and live a life where the predator, the perpetrator of that crime is not a factor, there's something poetic about that. That you were such a traumatic force as a perpetrator of a crime, as a predator, as a criminal. You took away a part of their life, whether it was a loved one that you made deceased, whether it was a part of their privacy, a part of their innocence, a part of their humanity, whatever it was that you took from them as the victimizer. That act of victimization, that act of commission of the crime, that action on their life is such a, it's like a giant asteroid coming at the earth, and then for them to get caught, convicted, and put into jail, that just takes them out completely and neutralizes them, so they can never be a significant part of anyone else's life ever again. They can't be a part of their life in the good. They can't be a part of their life in the bad. They can't actively participate in civic discussions. They can't actively participate in anything anymore, ever again. Anything that they want, anything that they want done, they have to have somebody advocate on their behalf, because they can no longer speak for themselves. They have become a neutralized person. They've just been put into a little stasis field. And for some crimes, you serve your time. Prison should be a rehabilitative place where you become detached from your old life and form a new life somewhere else. But for some crimes, that's a life sentence. You should just rot in there forever. And when you're a multiple repeat predator like Harvey Weinstein, you know, that's your lot in life. You made that bed. You get to sleep in it. We should be getting really close. Really close. Let me check the temps. The pot says 150. Oh, yeah, we're going to see some stuff in a minute. Good. Because the first thing you start to see, and you can't see that top sight glass, you're just seeing the bottom four. Let me see if I can angle it up a little bit. So the first thing you'll start to see is a little sweaty. The sight glass at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you can't get that sixth one in there because of the light. Let's see here. 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So what you'll see, when the first thing you'll start to see is it'll get kind of sweaty. It'll be a little stippling of vapor condensation on the inside of that glass, and then it'll start to fill up. And it'll start filling up from the top down to the bottom. But I've never done this live, so we'll just have to see what happens. Should be happening any minute now. Any minute now. But yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about. Something about Harvey Weinstein and jail in general. But yeah. I really do like the idea of him just rotting, being unimportant, an unimportant footnote to the rest for the rest of his life. And hopefully it's a very long, miserable, unrewarding life. So, there you go. God, what else is... It has been, what, a week? Oh, I'm also working on doing a cheers, women of whiskeys. Welcome to the party. I've actually got alcohol being distilled right now. We are minutes away from these sight glasses filling up with liquor. We got about 10 more degrees to go before we start getting vapors. And I bet if I look up there, y'all aren't going to see what I see. Oh, yeah, you actually do see exactly what I see. There's nothing happening just yet. But there will be. Phew. Well, I have my dial mislabeled. I felt like such a freaking idiot earlier on Monday. My pot wasn't heating up at all. It was not heating up at all. I couldn't figure out how to make it work. I took it apart, opened it up, checked the wiring, closed it back up, turned it back on, still nothing. And then I looked at it. I have my labels on it, min, max. I just took the dial and I went like this, and then it jumped to life. I have it mislabeled. I have it labeled upside down. So it's the vapor you see in the sight glass is not liquid. So it just goes liquid when you open the next stage. No, not exactly. So you'll see what I'm talking about. At the very tip top, what's going to happen is it's going to look like a window on a humid day. When the dew starts to condense on your morning windows, it gets the sight glass gets sweaty, and then the condensation starts to drop down onto the plate, and then the vapors come up through the condensed alcohol on the plate, and it just kind of I guess it goes this way. It jumps and bubbles this way. You'll see when it happens. And in the next to last one, the fifth one down, the last one's probably going to be a not so great. I'm sitting here pointing at it. on my screen, like like y'all can see what I'm pointing at. I guess I should do this one. This one down here is not going to be the best one. This one is probably going to be the better one because by the time it gets down here, it's kind of running out of steam. But I'm going to give it a good solid 30 minutes to charge up, and then that'll give it a good push because this will be mostly pure alcohol at the start, and I'll get a good solid gallon of good alcohol. Um, this is a run of gin, and I'm using finished neutral grain spirits to make the gin. So there's not going to be any heads. There's not going to be any tails. I can just take every bit of alcohol that I get off the still and collect it up. So who wrote what on the wall? It's the end of the world as we know it is the operating mantra that I've been working under all year. The other one says life happens, and that was written by Gary Denman, my partner, well, not partner in crime. He is the tasting room manager that I have working on the Fridays and Saturdays when I can't be here or when I have other things to do. Like this Friday and this Saturday, I'm here doing this. So he's going to be manning the tasting room. So there you go. Gary wrote, "Life happens." I wrote, "It's the end of the world as we know it." Because basically my operating mantra this year has been that this is the year that the distillery stands on its own. I've been transferring funds for the first time from the distillery to my household as a bit of a paycheck to kind of support the household expenses. So at the end of this year, by the end of this year, the distillery needs to be close to profitable, nearly break even or profitable, or within reach of that goal. So before I take any more money and put into it, before I get any more investors, before I do anything else, we need to be either at or past that goal line. And it feels very, very likely that we will be at that goal line this year. So I will be very, very okay with justifying taking a little bit more cash out of my savings so that we can finish with the equipment installations, finish with the building out of the tasting room, finish with the just get this whole place finished and done, so that we can be a fully operational Death Star, if you will. All guests can take a wood burner and sign their name. That is fucking awesome. Of course, I've got a laser etcher. I've got a wood burner. I've got a laser etcher. I've got planks of wood all over the place. They could sign their name on a plank of wood, and we could hang it on the wall. That's a cool idea. That's a really cool idea, mademoiselle. But this is the part of the distillery that is open to the public on a tour. On the other side of the wall, I actually haven't done a lot of videos from the other side of the wall. The other side of the wall is our actual tasting room. It's a mostly finished room. It's not all the way finished. It would be cool to look back on in 10 years. That really would be cool. But yeah, that's not a bad idea. I like that idea a lot. I'm watching the water just drip off of this constantly. It's dripping over here. It's dripping over there from the back. I can see water dripping in the back. I can see all the condensation just dripping down, dripping down, dripping down. We should be getting, let me check the temperature one more time. Yep, we're almost there. It's at 158. 150, yeah, 156, 158, somewhere in between there. So 150 degrees is where the heads start to vaporize, or around 140 rather. And we're at 158, so we don't have any heads. There are no heads vaporizing out of the wash, which is why I don't feel bad about collecting every drop of alcohol that we get out of here. But, yep, everything is looking good. Everything's optimal. This is about, once the alcohol starts to form in the column and I can open up those valves, that's when I usually go off and take a nap or go do something else. Marcia, thank you very much. I have worked very hard. It's been a long time coming together, and I actually have a really cool opportunity coming up, but I don't want to talk about it yet. I'll talk about it in a couple of weeks after the next couple of interviews happen. But there's this, there's this thing I'm doing in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be kind of cool. Y'all may see me in a different forum entirely. You did watch me paint the walls, Marcia. That is true. I remember chatting with you. That was the first time I chatted with you. I think I was texturing the walls, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, I was texturing the walls the first time we interacted on the chats. I do need to go back over those walls with one more coat of blue paint, though. But I'm going to do that when I finish the back. I have one more section back here, the hallway, that has the utility room and the bathroom, and then my office. I need to do all the finishing work. I need to float it, tape it, float it, texture it, paint it. I need to do all that stuff, including the bathroom with the wainscoting in the bathroom. I need to pull the toilet up, pull the toilet out, pull the sink out, do the walls. I need to do the hot water into the bathroom and the water hookups into the sink for the bar. There's a lot of stuff I still haven't done, but I stopped working on it because I ran out of money. But that is changing. We're getting more people coming into the tasting room. We're getting more orders online. You can order our whiskey online at oldhumblediStilling.com. I should have that on a scroll at the bottom, shouldn't I? Cancel that. Sources. Add. Scroll. Where's the color source? Display capture. Game, screen, image, scene, text. There it is. Add existing. Let's copy. Can I copy that? No. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Whoops. Let's see here. Where is the middle? There it is. So if I just shrink it this way, that's a good start. Oh, you know what? Transform. Fit to screen. There we go. Transform. Oh, I think I just move it down from here. Right? Yeah. There it is. It's not too small, right? Y'all can see that? I'll move me up a little bit. Stop it. There we go. I'll move me up here. There. And now I'm up here. And I can point. Nope, I got to point this way. Okay. All right, now I'm getting a little worried about what I'm seeing because what I'm seeing is not much. Okay, I see it. We're good. Are we? Come on. Yeah, we're good. I got a little bit of action. Actually, the column's really cold. The column shouldn't be that cold. All right. So down here, it's warm. That's too hot to touch. So that's probably a little bit over 100 degrees. This is still cold, so we don't have, the vapors haven't made it all the way up the column yet, but the vapors are right around here. Can y'all see that? No, y'all can't see that. The vapors are right about here. Here. The vapors are getting to right about here. This is extremely hot down here. This is warm to the touch. This is cold. So that's where we're at right now. We're getting very, very close because the pot is finally getting vapors coming out of it and moving up the column. So you can see can you see there's my pot. There's the temperature, 168, or right at 160. Yeah. So you can see the pot. It looked 8 feet tall. It is 8 feet tall. This thing is huge. Like, the pot is little. This is a 25-gallon pot. But for scale, this is me standing right next to it. This is about 6 feet-ish. Somewhere in this neighborhood is around 6 feet. So that third sight glass is somewhere close to 6 feet. So this is close to, I don't know, that'd be 8 feet, probably. So 10 or 12 feet tall. The whole rig put together is 10 or 12 feet tall. It looks monumental from that angle. But that is about 6 feet, that third sight glass right there. Ugh. I know, the suspense is killing me. Absolutely killing me. What is going on with my live chat on my phone? My phone keeps lagging out. Am I on? No, I'm not on Wi-Fi. Okay, good. I'm not broadcasting on Wi-Fi. Okay. So let's get it. It'll go quick. Once those vapors start moving, it goes quick. Yeah, it's already getting warmer here. I can feel the difference in temperature here from what it was earlier. So that's good. Okay. 15 more minutes or so. What else has happened oh shit, that giant depot explosion in Russia, was that today or yesterday? Was that Wednesday or Tuesday? That was, oh my God, that was like 300 miles inside of Russia, and it was the largest explosion. It was an explosion so large they could see it from space. Cray. Absolutely cray. You went? Oh, no, you want. You want to see Beetlejuice. I think I'm going to go see that movie, too. I might go see that movie. I'm going to have some time later this week. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of, like, I'm not loving what I'm seeing out of Ukraine, but I'm liking what I'm seeing more now than I liked. 2 years ago, it was a scary moment. We were observers. We, the observers. I know several people in Ukraine. I've done business with a few people there. They've a couple of folks with machine shops. They've cut some dyes out for me to use as a stamp. And one person I actually know one person personally who's from Ukraine, Kyiv specifically, and then another person I know whose family was from Ukraine, but they've lived here all their life. Anyway, it was a kind of a scary time to be an observer and watching this stuff. I did several weekly updates fully expecting Ukraine to collapse. But after that first week, when uh, Zelensky was like, "No, I'm not leaving. We're going to stick this thing out. We're going to fight it out. We're going to stick it out, and we're going to work to save our country. This is our country." Like, yep, they're not capitulating. They're not going to collapse. This was a complete and total miscalculation on the hands of on the part of Russia. They fully expected Ukraine to capitulate, collapse, Zelensky to flee the country, install their own puppet government. They fully expected them just to collapse, but they didn't. And to their credit, and to our credit and our allies' credit, we stood up to defend them and make sure that they had the arms and armaments that they need to defend themselves. And now they've got the arms and armament they need to kind of force the issue and put pressure on Russia and make Russia seriously reconsider their life choices, which is fucking awesome. Absolutely awesome. When you start taking your fight to the enemy, it's pretty awesome. It is very awesome. So it's encouraging to see what's happening. I hope, for their sake, that the former guy doesn't win the election, because he will. He's not joking. He doesn't want to see them win, and he will see to it that the war comes to a swift and brutal finale. And I think that's what Putin was hoping for. That his puppet would make sure that this comes to a swift and brutal finale. But that's not what appears to be happening. It appears that they're pressing the issue, and it's all coming up Ukraine right now. 2-8 to 2-0 to 2-8. Oh yeah, we're paying for it. Absolutely. We are absolutely paying for the war, or at least half of it, a third of it. Us, Europe, and Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine's paying more than us. We're just paying money. We got plenty of that, though. And it's not even really money. It's stuff that we bought, that we have, that we're sending to them so that we can buy more and make more. It's one of those things that if you have the equipment, you don't have to. If you already have the equipment, you don't need to build and make more. But that stuff has a specific shelf life, So if you don't use it, someone's got to. So it's not like we're trying to make markets for our military goods, but at the same time, it's not a bad thing when things come up. So, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. We're paying a price for it, but that's also the position that we put ourselves in, that we pay the price for these wars. And that is one of the real costs of liberty. This is another topic I'm going to do on a happy hour. People talk about freedom and liberty and all that stuff, but you need rigorous structures around you to ensure that you're free to do and live your life and self-determine however much you want. We, free people, benefit from rigorous judicial systems, stringent, specific laws, a culture that relies on laws and lawfulness to maintain order. I can go with maintain order. I'll go with that. If you take away those structures and you take away those guardrails and the institutions that enforce them, then we lose our liberty. We lose our freedoms. We don't have, instead of having police maintaining order, there's private militias maintaining order. And instead of everybody being on the same page, what should be is that everybody's on the same page with the police, and the police are maintaining order consistently throughout the community where they police. That's not how it works necessarily, but that's how it should work. What the fuck is going on? Why is it taking so long to get my alcohol in the goddamn site columns? I think I see action up there. Hang on, let me. They need more from the arsenal of democracy. We have 14 new brigades of soldiers, but can only field 8 of them. We would have to pay to dispose of the old stuff. Yeah, you know, Americans are barely getting by. We can't afford. I don't know if that's entirely true. I mean, yeah, it's not entirely not true. Americans are. Hold on. Hold that thought. I need to look. Yeah. What the fuck is going on? Okay. So what I just did is I closed this valve so that this would heat up. Because I thought that maybe this was too cold. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. I should have checked that column first. The column is hot all the way up to the top. We should have vapors. Yeah, we should have vapors in the column any minute now. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. But that's just the thing, though, Marcia. Americans, we're not like writing checks to pay for foreign policy. We're not. It's not coming out of our pocket. It actually benefits us when we. I mean, every one of those tanks is American jobs. Every one of those missiles is American jobs. Every one of those artillery barrages is American jobs. And the problem isn't tanks going to Ukraine. The problem is when, $40 billion goes to Raytheon to build arsenals of weapons. 15 billion of that goes to Raytheon's profit centers or profit takers, dividends, and executives and shareholders. The rest of it goes to the procurement and salaries, and it's unbalanced. Americans aren't hurting because of Ukrainians. Americans are hurting because of Americans. That's the frustrating thing about it. It's not the welfare recipient that's hurting. That's making it hard for my ends to meet. It's not, and it's not the foreign recipients of American goods that's making my ends. Oh yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm not. I would rather we have a more robust Department of State than a robust Department of Defense. I'm with you on that 100%. I would rather not have war happen at all. I think war is a failure of diplomacy. But I also see war as a function of diplomacy as well. And we didn't start this war. We didn't make this war happen. But when these things break out, it is our it's our obligation as the beacon of freedom and the maintainer of world order to end them. When other people start wars, it is our obligation to end them if we believe in what we stand for. And that's the sort of thing where reasonable people can agree to disagree. I kind of have a different view of the Israel-Gaza thing. I don't think that ends. I think we're perpetuating a thing that could probably, well, I don't know how that thing ends, honestly. That feels more like an American Indian Wars type of situation. But I don't, in my imagination, when I play out the Israeli conflicts, they don't end well. They're not, and Israel's not the good guy. They don't end well. It doesn't get pretty. It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. It hurts my heart to think about it. But you missed my you missed my shorts. I won't touch that. I'll let that go. New artillery factory in Texas is working hard, but in less than 2 years in full production. Good jobs. We should have an artillery factory in New York or in Illinois. Hey, I'm with you on that. I mean, yeah, they do. They're good paying jobs. Holy shit! Are you kidding me? Jay De La Cruz. This guy. Well, cheers. Welcome to the party, Jay. I don't have a drink. I have some water. Hang on. Hey! We'll zoom in on that in a second. I gotta get my bottle. Hold on. My bottle and a shot glass. I'm not gonna drink this whole bottle tonight. Well, there's not much left, so I might. Jay De La Cruz. God damn. So, can y'all see it? Is it there? Can y'all see it? Yeah, there it is. Y'all can see it. I see it on the video. Y'all can see it. If I can see it, y'all can see it. So, let's go up. Whoops. I can't go all the way up. There it is. That is what it looks like. Come on. Stop it. That's what it looks like through the sight glass. It's just, it looks like water with liquid bubbling through it. That's it. And that sight glass is loose. I'm going to try tightening it one more time. I've been tightening it a lot, but I'll replace this column with the other column and fix that. All right, so here we are. We are at the stage where the column is being charged. It's called charging up the column, and that is pure alcohol, vapors bubbling through pure alcohol on the plate. So all of that alcohol that's on those plates is between Jay, I'll answer that question in just a minute. All that alcohol is about 180 proof. And I'm going to throw the knob open. That closes that knob, opens that one. So now the cold water coming up through this hose is bypassing this. That's going to get hot. So it's bypassing that and going into here. It's coming into here. So this is cold. This is going to get cold because it's full of cold water. And then it's going to, the warmed up water is going to return out to my chill unit. So the water's coming up through here, and out. Yeah. And in a few short minutes, the hydrometer over here on the right is going to come to life, and then we're going to get a stream of alcohol coming out the parrot. You may not see the stream of alcohol coming out of the parrot because it's going to be in that tube. It's not going to be it's not going to be a flow. It's going to be about the size of a pencil lead. All right. And that deserves a drink. Boomtown Bourbon, America's favorite whiskey. Probably, if they knew about it. Okay, so let's scroll up to chat and see what I missed. So we got Jay De La Cruz joined the party. Marsha, I add shorts on most Mondays. I try to remember to do that. And you can absolutely always, almost no topic is off limits on my channel. If you are an honest, oh, here we go. Look over there on the right. Look over there on the right. Right here. Right there. It's poking out of the liquor, and that's going to sit there and float right at about 180 proof for a good long while. It's going to be 180, 170-ish. And then that means that over here, there it is. We have liquor. Okay. And now there's residual in here from my cocktail, but that is liquor that is about 100 and right now it's giving a reading of 150, but I think that's because there's residual stuff in the parrot, and that's going to drop back down to 180. Oh, this is definitely 180. Jeez Louise. Hot damn. All right. So there you go. This is the process, guys. Now those sight glasses are actually going to empty, and they already have. The sight glasses already have emptied out. All that liquor's gone through the system and into the parrot, and it's gone. And the carboy that I'm dropping everything into will fill up now over the course of the next 3 hours. So let's get on back to chat. All right, Jay Delacruz. So Jay, I went to high school with Jay. I graduated high school with Jay. Hell, I went to elementary school with Jay. Jesus, Jay, I've known you since first grade, second grade, third grade. For sure, third grade. Has it been first grade? Was it kindergarten? God damn, you're old, man. Into chat. Will this work? All right. But recently, Jay, I contacted Jay on Facebook because I got a friend request from him because his old account had been. They're like, "You're definitely not the real Jay Delacruz." Anyway, so yeah, there you go. Good to see you again, brother. Paul sees bubbles. Dumb question. Is 15-year whatever brand really 15-year? Yes. They can't call it 15 years unless it's been aged 15 years. Now, the real question isn't, is 15 years really 15 years? 15 years means it was aged in the barrel for 15 years. The real question is, what does that really mean? Because the time statement by itself, I've got a whole video on this too, or I will have a whole video on this. The time statement by itself doesn't necessarily mean anything unless you also know where it was aged and what size barrels it was aged and what type barrels it was aged. Because 15 years in Scotland and 15 years in Scotland and 15 years in Texas are two vastly different time periods. Scotland is an average temperature in the mid-60s, if I'm not mistaken. So their whiskey ages slower than in Texas, where your average temperature is Satan's ball sack. We have fewer days below 50 degrees and more days above 100 degrees. We have a longer period where your low temperature never gets below 50. So our period of aging is longer. We have in Houston, we have about 10 months. In Dallas, it's 8 months, give or take. In Kentucky, it's closer to 6. So, hell, In Scotland, it's like 3 or 4. So a year in Scotland, well, a year in Texas would be like 3 years in Scotland. Because they have 3 months, we have 9 months. A year in Texas is like a year and a half in Kentucky. So if you just see an age statement, oh, this is aged 4 years, that doesn't mean anything, because 4 years in Kentucky means something very different than 4 years in the Gulf Coast of Texas, or in the hill country of Texas, or in the northern parts of Texas, or even in the west part of Texas. We have 4 different aging zones in Texas. South Texas, hill country, lakes and prairies, and Gulf Coast. And then there's West Texas, so there's a 5th. But there aren't many distilleries in West Texas, so we don't really talk about it. So what we're making here is actually gin. This is my standard setup. This will make whiskey. This will make vodka. This will make gin. This will make rum. This will make anything that is a distillate. And I can still see it coming. Nice. So yeah, what we're making today is gin. Where are we? 15 years is 15 years. Is that the first stage? This is actually the last stage. So the process for gin, the way it goes is actually I can show you what it looks like before we distill it. So you make vodka first, and then you take the juniper berries and herbs and spices that you use to make gin, and you macerate it, which basically means you make tea. And this is what it looks like before it goes into the still. It looks like tea. Looks like an herbal tea, a green tea. So it goes into the still looking like this, and it comes out of the still clear as water. Comes out of the still looking like this. There you go. That is gin finished. The next step after this is I add water to it and bring it down to 80 proof. Then I filter it to homogenize it, to run all the to get all the alcohol fully mixed through, and then we bottle it. And that is correct, Jay. No shit at all. It's corn, juniper berries, some other spices. So there you go. This is my pot. This pot is a 25-gallon pot. My big pot's back here. Can you see them in this? Yeah, my big pots, this one and this one, are 125 gallons. And yes, it is considered distilled. It's just really high proof. So, an industry ploy to sell whiskey at a high price. It's not really a ploy to sell it at a high price. It's stating a fact, but it's a fact disconnected from context. And you always need context with your facts. You always need to have context with your facts, because facts by themselves don't mean anything. 7. 7 is a number. But by itself, it doesn't mean anything. You've got to give it some context. You've got to give it some purpose to exist. What does the 7 represent? Is it 7 sheep? Is it 7 cows? Is it $7? Is it 7 ATACMS missiles? What does the 7 mean? What's the meaning behind the 7? Is it square inches? What is it? Tell me more. I want to know more. Click. That's a reference to a movie. I'm going to move the camera over here. At least I'm going to try to. And focus in on the drip. Can we get that? No, not really. I'm going to do this. For the vids, for the views, we're going to do this. Whoops. There. There we go. That way, y'all can see. You see, it's about the size of a pencil lead on a wooden pencil. You can't really see it. It's got that clear flow on a white background. Okay, where are we at? It honestly, Jay, it kind of tastes like gasoline. Difference between distillery and a brewery is the process. A brewery brews beer in the same way that you brew coffee or brew tea. You take grains, you take hot water, you steep the grains in the hot water to get the flavors out of the grains and into the water. And then you ferment the grains, and then you bottle it up. That is a brewery. They brew. Distillation is the action of separating out one compound that's in a solution from the solvent that it is in. So in my case, I'm distilling alcohol out of water. The solution is an alcohol water solution, and I am trying to get the alcohol out of solution. So distilleries are also known as refineries, and that's what they do with oil. They take crude oil, put it into a refinery, and begin to boil it. And at certain temperatures, kerosene boils off, diesel boils off, ethanol boils out. Is it ethanol? Whatever, it's gasoline. And then there's residual compounds left over that they make petroleum jelly and all kinds of other crap. Plastics. But this is basically a small version. This is basically a small version of every refinery you see in Pasadena. I don't know where the oil refining places are in Illinois, or well, in Cleveland. I know they have oil refineries in Cleveland, but L.A., all the places where they have oil refineries. This is a small version of that, and that's it. Distillation requires heat. Yes, there is such thing as cold distillation, but it's not true distillation. What you're doing is you basically take a compound, a solution, and you put it in the freezer, and one part of the solution freezes and the other part of the solution doesn't. You can do that with alcohol because alcohol doesn't freeze you got to get very, 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 very cold to freeze alcohol, or very low pressure to freeze alcohol. So you can take a wine and put it in the freezer, and the water will freeze, the alcohol will be left behind, and then you're effectively left with a cold distilled brandy. But it's not the same as distilled brandy. So there you go. Do you distill depending on the season, no. You can distill anything at any time. The only challenge is the ambient temperature. When it's super duper hot, it's just hard to keep everything cool. It's hard to maintain temperatures on your fermentation when everything's hot, unless you have cold water going through the fermenters. We'll have all that stuff set up in the next 6 or 8 months, I hope. But that's especially in small batches, so in 25-gallon batches, it's hard to maintain temperatures. But in 100-gallon batches, we have 200. I had 200 gallons of, or 160 gallons of gin over here macerating. If I do less than 50, if I do 50 gallons or less in a fermentation, it's hard to maintain temperatures where the yeast are happy. So, yeah, there you go. A local gin here is hot and spicy compared to the big names. Descriptions mention it like a white liquor. Are you going for a particular profile, or is it based on a point? Based on the... No, yeah, we're going for a particular profile. The recipe for this is kind of a floral botanical gin. It's got some very delightful flavors. It's not overpowering on the juniper. It's not very... It doesn't taste woody or piney or anything like that. It's a nice, lightly scented gin. Yeah, there you go. Looks like something on Moonshiners. Yeah, Moonshiners. You had a bong like that? We've all had bongs like that. It comes in different Boomtown bottles. What's the difference between the grades? I don't know how to answer that question. So I'll take the question at face value first. Over the years, we have had different... Turn the camera this way so it's not so stretched. We've had different bottles of Boomtown bourbon that roughly matched up with either different facilities or procedures that we followed with regards to the production. So we had our round bottles when we were Big Thicket that had Big Thicket's Boomtown bourbon that we made in Conroe. And that was fine. It was fine. We used the municipal water in Conroe. Same recipe. Everything's the same. The recipe's the same. It's just different procedures. And then when we moved from Conroe to Humble, when I bought out Dan and Gretsch and moved from Conroe to Humble, the biggest change, I changed the bottle. I changed the branding. It went from Big Thicket's Boomtown Bourbon to Old Humble's Boomtown Bourbon. I started using Humble's municipal water versus Conroe's municipal water, and you could taste a difference. We went from relatively big batches to smaller batches, and I could taste the difference. I don't know if anybody else could, but I could taste the difference. And I didn't really like the quality that we were making in that old facility. It was fine, but it wasn't fine. You know what I mean? And then we moved here, made one last batch of the Boomtown at the old facility, and then we moved here. And our water here is captured rainwater. It's no municipal water at all. It's all rainwater. The stuff never touches the ground. So it's cleaner water. But I wasn't familiar with how the barrels interacted with the temperatures of the facility. And our first batch was nice and chewy and dark. Our second batch had the right flavor but the wrong color. And then the third batch, I decided to age it longer. The third batch was aged from February to November, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, like 10 months. And it went over the summer, and that was the right color and the right flavor. And from that point forward, I decided every time I do a batch of Boomtown bourbon, when I put it in the barrels, it goes into the barrels sometime between November and March, but no time after. No, May would be the latest, between November and May, but no time after May. I want to get, because I wanted to make sure I got June, July, August in every single batch that we did. Our summers are special. Our summers in Houston are special. So I wanted to be sure every time I barrel it, we get those summer months involved in the barreling. And then I go at least 10 months now. The batch I've got aging right now is about 11. There's actually from November. So November, December, all of November. It was November 4th. November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, all of August, and we're pushing all of September. We might get all of September. This might be 11 whole months for this batch of whiskey. It doesn't get any worse the longer it sits in the barrel. It doesn't always get better the longer it sits in the barrel. You know, it kind of reaches its peak and it'll stop getting better. But yeah, even though it's the same recipe, these bottles are 55% water. The liquor is usually the lowest percent compound that's in the bottles. So the water's dramatically important. It comes out of the still at 180 proof or 160 proof, so 80% alcohol by volume, 75 to 80% alcohol by volume. And then you add water to it to bring it down to 120 proof, and then it goes into the barrel. It comes out of the barrel, then you add water to bring it down to 90 proof. So you're adding water back to it the whole time. And if that water tastes funky, or for whatever reason the water is just weird, you know, you're playing with fire. Metaphorically, because water and fire are very different things. Can you make dandelion wine? Probably. Marcia, I've never used a seal like Maker's Mark. I've played around with a wax seal before, but I haven't committed to it because I haven't figured out how to add that into our process efficiently. I'm not ruling it out on a future line to have a wax seal on a very specific line of bottles. I just haven't done it yet. So yeah, there you go. Miss Mahaffey. Science? Jesus, dude, that's a fucking name from. But yeah, dude, I haven't seen Josh in forever. When Thor came out, Josh is a friend of mine from also elementary school. He lives now in Forest Hill, Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken, just south of Natchitoches. Yeah. Last time I saw him face to face was when the first Thor movie came out. Me and him and Dave Howard, and yeah, all three of us got together and watched that movie in, I want to say, Nacogdoches. It was kind of in between. David lives in Dallas. I think he lives in Dallas. I drove up from Houston. He came down from Dallas, and Josh came over from Louisiana. And we went and watched a movie. Was it? It might have been. Was it Nacogdoches? Lufkin. It was in Lufkin. So there you go. Can I make dandelion wine? I don't know. Probably. I've never done it. I can't do it here. This facility is not licensed for wine, so I can't do it commercially. But, I mean, I'm sure I can. I've just never done it. It bothers me that this is distilling at 160 when the last couple of runs were distilling at 180. I don't know if that's a problem or not. I need to check my hydrometer real quick. It's actually at, yeah, 160 right there. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It just means it's going to take longer to get all the alcohol out that I want to get out. Which kind of is a big deal. I'm going to charge it up one more time. See if I can improve the proof. That's bad. So you see what happens when I turn this column, when I turn this valve, when I open this valve and close this valve, all of the cold water goes here, and that cuts off the liquor coming over here, and the flow stops. And all the liquor starts to charge it back up over here. Yeah. All the liquor, I've already got liquor up here on the top. So we start charging up. It'll start charging up the column. And if I just let it charge up for a minute, this is, by the way, dress code. Gym shorts, dry fit shirt. This is the official dress code of the Old Humble Distilling Company after dark. So I'm going to let that charge up. I already got it in the third sight glass. And what that'll do is that'll purify it. Because what ends up in the column is just pure alcohol. Because the mechanics of it is we have vapors coming up the column here. Maybe I need to turn the heat down just a little bit. Vapors coming up the column, and it hits that cold water shock up here at the top. And when it hits that cold water shock, it condenses and collapses back down. And then it just continues to do that, and it fills up more alcohol, more alcohol, more alcohol, more alcohol, more alcohol, until I decide to open up the gate and let the alcohol come through. I can sit here and stare at this thing all night. I think it's a thing of beauty. It's a gorgeous, functional, and beautiful piece of artwork. I love it. I absolutely love these columns. They're just beautiful. I love it. Yeah, that bottom sight glass is dripping. It's got a bad seal. I'm going to swap out this column for the other column and do some maintenance on that tomorrow. Let's see here. How are my parentals? One of them is doing great. My mom's in Norway right now on a resort holiday cruise thing. I don't think it's an actual cruise. I think they just went to Norway. She and a group of friends, they went to Norway, and they're just exploring Norway on like a outing, like an old lady party. So yeah, mom's doing great. I guess arguably dad's doing better. Arguably. But I mean his feet doesn't hurt anymore, and his and his heart's not giving him any more trouble. So there's that. Actually, that's dripping a lot, and I don't like that at all. But I got to find the tool to fix that. Okay, so we're all charged up. Got nice, happy bubbles. Ugh. Let's go. Three, drip, drip, drip. Turn you this way. Come on. He passed in 2019. No. Yes. Yeah, he passed in 2019. But he lived a good life. It was just past the their 75th. No, just past his 75th birthday and 50th wedding anniversary. I think that's right. Yeah, because they got married in 69, and he passed in 19. Yeah, so it was just past their anniversary. August was their anniversary, and he passed at the end of beginning of November. But enough about that. I am right over the spout. Let's move me over here. Bum bum. There we go. Sugar water and raisin. What is that all about? Sugar water and raisin. Paul, good night. Cheers. Work starts in 5 hours. My work ends in about 10 hours. Take care, Paul. Have a great night. Have a good night's sleep. But there we go. The bottom gauge is emptied out. We are pouring water once again. I wonder if there's can I put a dark background back there? I guess I could. I could open up the door, let y'all see what it looks like outside. I don't know if that'll make it better or worse. I know it's going to suck for the temperature in this place. Unless it's cool now. I don't know. I do not know. Let's see. That's what it looks like outside. I don't know if that actually comes through. Yeah, it actually feels really nice out here. About the same as it feels inside. I'm going to open up the door behind me. Get some cool air floating through here. The thing I don't want to happen is because we are we're kind of like this little oasis of the middle of nowhere in the suburbs of Houston. So we've got these nice little subdivisions around us. But I'm very much in the woods. Oh, yeah, that makes it nicer, much nicer. I'm very much in the woods, and it feels great. God dang, I get this attic fan blowing on me from the back. But because we're in the woods, we got all kinds of crazy characters coming through here. You don't need to feel like an asshole, Jay. You didn't know. It's not your fault. But like I said, he's probably doing a whole lot better than she is. You know, his feet don't hurt. His back doesn't hurt. His heart doesn't give him problems. He's fine. I'm fine. Everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. Yeast makes beer. Yes, it does. Okay, so with the wind blowing, I'm worried about just losing alcohol to splatter, but it looks fine for now. And what will eventually happen is the stream on that will start to wear down. It did not increase the it increased it a little bit. We're just a little over 160. That's not a reliable. It's not an entirely reliable read because there's residual alcohol, water, and stuff in there. Water is actually heavier than alcohol. No, I take that back. Water is lighter than alcohol. Alcohol sinks, water floats in the compound. So you got to stir them together until they mix thoroughly. That's why I run it through the filter. Sealed with go. Wait a few weeks. Check out. Thanks for letting me invade your space. I'll check in when possible. Hey, Jay, we're open on the weekends. Come up and see us. Cheers, buddy. Good to see you again. Well, good to see you in chat. Good to chat again. Cheers. Oh, and thanks for your help a few years back with the fire marshal shit. It didn't pan out at the old location, as you can probably guess by looking at the fact that I am not in that location anymore. A paint bucket and yeast to make beer. That is a janky ass home brew system, Marcia. I would strongly recommend getting a glass carboy. But yeah, I mean, if all you got is a paint bucket, use the paint bucket. If all you've got is a rubber glove, use the rubber glove. But saran wrap works better, honestly, than a rubber glove. You can put the saran wrap on one piece and then a second piece, and then a rubber band around it so that they're overlapping like this, so the carbon dioxide can go out and it kind of burps up this way. Of course, if you seal it with a rubber glove, the rubber glove will expand until it pops. If it pops, it may never pop. But yeah, that's basically how they did it back in the day. They boiled grains, and that's how I did it when I homebrewed beer. I boiled grains, then boiled hops into the grains, and then sometimes I added a sugar accelerator, a little accelerator for the sugar, which is basically an accelerator for the yeast, which is basically a sugar compound to give the yeast something to eat and kind of kickstarts them, where they start eating the sugar, and then when they finish up the sugar, they're looking for other stuff, and then so they eat the cheap sugar first, grow their colony, and then get to the harder sugar after that, and it gets a very efficient fermentation. But then, yeah, I just let it sit for a few weeks until it stopped bubbling. I filtered it and bottled it, and it made good beer. Not great beer, but good beer. It was the most expensive, the most expensive beer that I ever drank. True story. And that's because I had to make it. I had to have all the product, all the stuff. Let's see, it is 1:35 a.m. flowing for about an hour. A little more than a gallon. I'm keeping notes. I take copious notes when I do my distillations because I like to go back and refer to them later on. We are 2 hours in. I'm going to go for another hour, I think. I've got 2 viewers, just you and me, huh, Marcia? Oh, we got one more. Sound off if you're here. Sound off in chat. I want to know who you are. Maybe I'll give away some free whiskey if I know who you are. If I don't know who you are, I won't give away free whiskey. I'm kidding, Marcia. I just wanted to say who they are. But yeah, what's going to happen after this? After we're done here, I'm charged up. My eyes are like boom. I'm awake. I've got a cot in my office. I'm going to go take a nap for a couple hours because that's going to take about 3 hours to fill up. Let me reposition real quick. Show y'all what's happening. So that is the carboy that I'm filling up. Getting me out of the way. Come on. There. That is the carboy that's filling up. Just a standard glass carboy. It's my work table. It's got all kinds of shit on it. My laser etcher's back there in the back. I'll do a live stream with the laser etcher. That thing's cool. But yeah, that thing's going to fill up over the course of about 3 hours. So we get about a half a gallon. We get about a gallon every half hour. And in the meantime, I'm going to take that and put it in a large bucket, which I have placed back here. I'm going to rinse this bucket out first. I'm going to go do that right now. It's actually almost cold. Wow. But yeah, I'm going to rinse this bucket out. God damn, it's been 5 years since my dad died. Thanks, Jay, for bringing that shit up. I'm kidding. I'm absolutely 100% over it. I'm not suffering from any latent trauma. There we go. I lost a little, but not much. Just a couple of drops. So that is my overflow prevention device. If for whatever reason I don't wake up in time or get back to the distillery in time or whatever, I got another 30 or 45 minutes before that thing fills up. And it's not a complete disaster. It's a little bit of a fail-safe. I was actually able to leave today twice to go to the tax office and do stuff today. Let's zoom. Let's go down a little bit here. There we go. Whoops. There we go. So yeah, now y'all can see the liquor coming out. Nope, I need to bring it back up because I don't have the black background anymore. How's that? That good? Nah, yeah, you can see the stream coming down. Good. Good. You're caught up with the housework and laundry, so you're having a drink. You know, that's a good idea. I think I'll have myself a drink too. Reactivate my camera so I can drink with you. And I'm going to move me up here. Yeah. I think this is the most I've shown of our operating room during a stream. I think. Because I don't think I've ever done a full panoramic. Of course, I've never done this on stream either. I've never distilled liquor on stream. This is a first. A first. Both of your parents lived. My grandmothers lived into their 90s, I think. One of them might have been 89. But my grandmothers lived into their 90s. Both of my grandfathers died in their, I want to say 50s. My dad's dad died when my dad was young. He was like 15 or 13, I think. He was just a kid. But he had like 5 older brothers and sisters. So he wasn't like raised by a single mom. He was raised by an entire fucking brood of Catholics. Louisiana Catholics. When I worked in the death care industry, watching your parents age was heartbreaking. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. When I worked in the death care industry, I worked at a consolidator during a transition, during the major transition in the industry from burial to cremation, and it was an ongoing topic. I wrote a couple of think pieces for management to consider. I worked in the Treasury Department, but this was shit I thought about all the time. That our generation, our parents' generation, my parents' generation, the baby boomer generation, was the first generation of Americans who actually watched their parents get old. Because the silent generation, their parents dropped dead at 50 or 60 years old while they were working in the field. They didn't get old. They got, 65, 75, and that was it. Sometimes they got a little bit older, but, usually life expectancy was in the late 60s, early 70s back, when the silent generation was growing up. So they were grown-ups. They were the heads of families when grandma and grandpa died. They would have their grandma and grandpa had their kids when they were in their late teens, start their families in their late teens, whatever, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and then the silent generation would see their parents, these guys who were born in the 20s, the greatest generation, rather. They would see their elders dying in their 50s and 60s and 70s. They never got old. But then the greatest generation, the boomers, were the kids of the greatest generation, the ones that won World War II, the ones who were in their 20s in the 1940s. They were the first generation to get old, to get feeble, to get the cancers, to get the dementia. They were the first generation. Yeah, they lived into the 1990s. They lived into the they lived into their 80s and 90s. So the boomers were the first generation to watch their parents die. Is kind of where I'm going with that. And that affects you, because they didn't really have the infrastructure or the industry, the death care industry, the way they have it today. They didn't have hospice care. They didn't have long-term death care, sunset years care, or anything like that. It was just they got old, they went to the hospital, and they stayed in the hospital until they died. That was it. And it was a brutal final 9 months or 18 months or, God forbid, 24 months. When my grandmother died, my dad's mom, he and his siblings made weekly trips up to Natchitoches, Louisiana, to sit with her in the hospital. That's what they did. My dad drove 4 hours to go to Natchitoches to sit with his mom every 4 weeks. We made monthly trips up there because he had 5 siblings, but one of them lived in Missouri, Kansas City, so it was hard to make that trip all the way down. But we had Oakdale, or Oak Lawn, Arkadelphia, Houston, and Beaumont. So when it came to the boomers, when they were making decisions, and this is where we were at. We were in the 1990s, the late 90s, early 2000s. The boomers are now making decisions about their own end of life celebrations, their own end of life planning. They were like, we don't want to deal with this shit. We don't want to mess with it. We don't want our family to have to mess with it. We want to be cremated. We want to be dumped in the ocean. That's it. None of all this caterwauling and big ceremony and all that shit, because they sat through it all. They sat through it. They watched it. And now the Gen Xers, we're in the very early stages of beginning to think about this stuff for ourselves. Because as a generation, we're in our mid to late 60s down to our mid to late 40s, give or take. So we're thinking about those same things, but that changes in industry. It goes from the big church production, the big church production, the casket, the flowers, the viewing at the funeral home. They go to the church, they do the service, then they go back to the cemetery and do the graveside service and put them in the hole. And it's a whole day, really. It's as big a production as a wedding. The two biggest ceremonies you're going to be a part of is your funeral and your wedding. And then the boomers were like, nah, just put me in a fucking hole. And that decimated the funeral industry, because now you have all these funeral homes with buildings and the largest generation ever up until that point saying, nah, we don't need all that. Just put me in a turkey fryer, cook me down to ashes, and stick me in the ground somewhere. Don't even tell me where you're going to stick me. I don't care. Because they lived through it, And it turned them off to even thinking about or participating in death. So the whole point of this was I wrote out several marketing ideas for our operations group, telling them, this is the future of the industry, not death care, but we need to think about it like a wedding. We need to think about it like a party, like a celebration. It's not, we need to think about it like the way they think about wedding receptions. The wake, it's hard to think about that because we're talking about mourning somebody, but it's not mourning, it's celebrating life. That's the terminology used in the industry, and that they were trying to use in the industry was a celebration of life. A celebration of the accomplishments that somebody had during their lifetime. A memorial service where you remember who they are and what they meant, but also celebrating their life. So doing something like having a wake, having a DJ, having and pushing the envelope type of thing, suggesting a DJ. I knew that was out there, but to transform the sorrow into a celebration was what the industry was thinking about at the time. And there's a lot of folks, there are a lot of funeral homes that actually employ party planners now, as the industry has changed over the years. I worked in the industry for damn close to 15 years. No, closer to 20 years. And the way that industry changed, they talked about change a lot, but it wasn't until late into the 20-teens. Yeah, late into the 20-teens where I actually started seeing that talk turn into actual action. So it's very cool to see the industry change, especially an industry like that one that's so rooted in tradition and history, and it's stodgy and slow to change, and to see new generations of people taking over and doing vastly new, amazing things. Seeing people being cremated and put into tree pods, being cremated and put into capsules and sent into space, being cremated and put into coral reefs, being put into having your ashes baked into a concrete monument or a statuary that you can keep at your house. So you don't actually, you're not taxidermying people, but you can take their cremains and actually turn it into a vase or a vase, or a piece of jewelry, or a crystalline medallion that you can wear around your neck and have your loved one. It sounds ridiculous, but you have your loved one with you all your life. But to think that there's somewhere in Oregon, there's a field of trees that were propagated from the cremains of dead people, and that those trees are producing fruit, and you can walk through the cemetery and eat fruit from the tree that used to be Nana. That's fucking freaky, dude. That is freaky as hell. Or even just spending the night among those trees that in their root sac down underground, originally when they planted it, was cremains from a fucking person. I don't believe in ghosts, but there's no way in hell you're getting me to walk through that forest at night. No fucking way. A forest full of trees that used to be people? Nah, I ain't walking through that forest. Not a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. My mom's buried in Indiana in a beautiful cornfield. Oh, that sounds sweet. That sounds nice. A cornfield in Indiana. Yeah. What would I like to do? I would like. I would like my cremains to be scattered. Where would I want my? I wouldn't want to be. I don't want to be in a cemetery because my family's never going to go back to the cemetery. Why? A monument to dead people, a mausoleum of the past. Nah. I would like my family to take me on a trip. But not for me. For them. Go see things. Go see something you've never seen. Go somewhere you've never been. Take me with you and scatter me out a little bit along the way. That'd be cool. I mean, I'm not going to know what's happening, but it would be a cool thing for them to do. That'd be cool. Because I don't want them to, their final memory with me to be a sad one. I want their final memory with me to be liberating. Yeah, I think that's the right word. Liberating. Yeah. Like when we buried my dad, because he had his cremains put in the local cemetery over here. They got his cremains, they carry him out in the hearse, and they bring him up to the graveside, because we did the graveside service. When the funeral director shows up, she's walking over, and she puts the cremains on the little pedestal next to the little hole where the cremains are going down into it. My mom comes out, my sister, my brother, me. I walk up to the funeral director. I go, I don't want to alarm you or anything, but shouldn't there be a casket here? That woman went so pale white. She turned She went so pale, you could almost see the blood like in her flesh pulsing through the veins as it's leaving her face. You get like because that is the worst mistake you can do as a funeral home or a crematory. That is the absolute worst thing you can do is check the box for cremains when the family said burial. Because you can't undo cremation. You can if you check burial when they said cremains and you show up with the body in the casket, the family could be all like, that's not what we had planned. I was wondering. And then they could go, oh, I'm sorry, and then rush off to the barbecue house and take care of it. But if you but yeah, I go to the funeral director. I go, I don't want to alarm you, but shouldn't there be a casket somewhere? And she goes so pale, and her eyes get so big, and she goes, oh. I go, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. and, then, and then she goes, oh my God, you scared me so. And my mom looks over. She goes, what's going on? and I tell her, it's okay. You can tell her. She says, your son just scared me half to death. And my mom said, did he ask you about the casket? She said, yes. I told him not to do it. But, yep, it's going to be a good day. So, yeah, our last memory with my dad was a good laugh for all of us. The cemetery in Oregon, I think it's Bend Cemetery. Bend, Oregon Cemetery. Cemetery, Oregon, fruit tree forest. I think it's a fruit tree forest. Oregon's first dedicated natural burial ground is licensed. The Forest Conservation Burial Ground is at Willow Wit Ranch. There's also Lone Fir Cemetery in Oregon. It's one of Portland's oldest continuously used cemeteries and is now a de facto arboretum with more than 700 trees representing 67 species. Eugene's Pioneer Cemetery, and appeals to most of the casual visitors, is its trees. But that's not what I'm looking for. Cemetery, T-E-R-Y, that uses cremains as tree seed pods. I thought it was Oregon. The Capsula Mundi urn, the ashes are put in through a hole closed with a cone-shaped screw. After the burial, a tree chosen in life by the deceased in consideration of the local ecosystem will be planted in top of it. Capsula Mundi biodegradable urns are made in Italy, but that's not what I'm looking for. It's the biodegradable. Come on, where's it at? Tree. This is good. This is good video, ain't it? Tree pod burial. Where is it? Nope. Where is it done? I'm pretty sure it was Bend, Oregon. Let's try some more. Cost, locations, and more. That's the one. Cost, locations, and more. For the Green Burial Council, burials in the United States nearly 5 million gallons, blah, blah, blah. Organic burials. What is? Can you have? How much do they cost? They're still talking about Capsula Mundi. There are only a few so far, but countries like the U.S. and U.K. are establishing natural burial sites for human remains. I think it was Bend, Oregon. I need to double check. It was a former client of mine. Bend, Oregon Cemetery. Greenwood? Oh, Greenwood Cemetery could be rezoned for residential use. That was a movie. They did that movie already. Ugh. Nieswanger Reynolds Funeral Home in Greenwood Cemetery. No, that's not it. Bend, Oregon Cemetery. Tree pod burial. The Forest Conservation Burial Ground. That's the one that keeps coming up. I think that's the one. Oregon Dedicated Natural Burial Ground. Oh, they're looking for a business manager at Willow-Witt. If you want to move to Oregon, the Willow-Witt Ranch and Forest Conservation Burial Ground is looking for a business manager. This thing doesn't work out. Maybe I'll move to Oregon. Forest Pet Cemetery, too. That was another thing that innovated over the time while I was in the industry, having actual pet cemeteries. Oh, that's not exactly what I'm looking for. Cease and desist cutting down the trees at Greenwood Cemetery. Preserve Placid, Pilot Butte. Now, anyway, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. Who knows? Your mom donated money to plant trees in Canada for the Canadian fires. Cool. That's fucking awesome. Cheers to your mom. She's a fucking awesome lady. All right, kids. Here's what's up. Let me see how much liquor we got in there. I am officially tired. All right. We got a good flow. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to wrap the show. I'm tired of talking about death and burials and all that shit. Ugh. What else is there to talk about? We can talk about other stuff before I go. Let me see. Where are we at? 3 hours probably? 2.5 hours. All right. We're at 2.5 hours. A lot of old hippies moved to Oregon from San Francisco. That was like, I mean, when San Francisco got expensive and techie, that was like where they all went. Oregon is a wild place. They got giant trees and dirty hippies, and it is just a fascinating place. I cannot tell you how many people I know who decided they wanted to quit their corporate job. Actually, I can tell you, six people I know quit their corporate job and decided to go to Oregon, and one of them started three of them started a farm together. One of them was decided to transition from female to male and decided to go to Oregon because that was the kind of place that he would feel accepted. And then the other one did not have a plan. He was just, I'm leaving and I'm going to Oregon. And he was just like, fuck this shit. I'm done. And he literally sold everything he owned except his car because he had to go to Oregon. But he went to Oregon with a duffel bag. That was it. The clothes on his back and a duffel bag and his car. That was it. He didn't have an apartment. He didn't have a job. He didn't have a house. He didn't have some property there tucked away in the fucking woods. He was just like, I quit and I'm leaving. And I have not heard from him in 7 years. I worked with him at the bank before he dipped. And he was just like, I'm fed up with all this shit. I'm done. And he left Houston and went to fucking Oregon. That was it. I have not thought about that guy in probably 6 years. Huh. But the 3 people who started a farm, they're still doing fine. This little organic farm that they started, they're selling products and crops, and I think they make soaps too. They have goats and pigs, and they make soap. I don't know what. I haven't heard from Ryan in a while. He got mad at me when I said his rocks were silly. Eh. And then, yeah, I ain't never heard from that other dude either. He just dipped. I mean, for all I know, he could either be living in a treehouse in the woods or he got eaten by a crocodile or something. I don't know. I mean, literally, either one of those two things is possible. I mean, hell, he might have a suit job in some kind of building there. Literally anything could have happened. He could have been held up and his car stolen and his duffel bag and all his money stolen. He could have been, like I said, living in a treehouse somewhere off the land. He could have been connected up with some hippie commune. He could have gotten a suit job and be the chief operating officer of Big Dick Industries or something in, I don't know what companies they have in Oregon. Washington has Microsoft. What does Oregon have? The Trailblazers. Hey Siri, what major company is headquartered in Oregon? Nike. Nike, of course. They're headquartered in Oregon. I knew that. Who else? 7 companies headquartered in Oregon are in the Fortune 1000. Nike, Precision Cast Parts, Lithium Motors, Stancorp Financial, Schnitzer Steel, Greenbrier Companies, and Columbia Sportswear. All right. This is enough for me. Marcia, thank you for joining the party. This is going to keep going like this for another 3 hours. So, maybe not 3 hours, maybe 2 more hours. Marcia, thank you for joining the party. Jay, Traveling Fools, dude, Paul, Dogecat, Dune Cat, Jay Delacruz, I'll be damned. Sunflowers jumped in early. The Women of Whiskeys jumped in. That was awesome to see them pop in. Tater Don even made an appearance. Cheers to all you fine folks. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for stopping in and saying hi. I'm going to get some rest while this continues to go. We don't have a word from our sponsors. That's the live cam. I need to fix that camera. Hang on. Transform. I'm going to do this live. Center to screen. Move you down. Lock you in there. Logo's fine. I'm going to shrink that logo up a little bit. It's too big. Make you smaller. Good. Camera 2. Fit to screen. Boop. There it is. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, this has been an award-winning production. Special thanks to our members of the channel. You too can be a member. Just click on that join button. Members of the channel, Mr. Jiggs, longtime supporter, first-time caller. Thank you, Mr. Jiggs, for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, good night.